Christopher McQuarrie could have reunited with his Mission Impossible Fallout star Henry Cavill for a sequel to Man of Steel. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. We are all excited for David Corenswet's Superman, but that doesn't mean we have forgiven Warner Brothers for firing Henry Cavill. Cavill sadly got only one solo movie in the earlier DCU, despite kickstarting the universe with his film. A sequel to Zack Snyder's Man of Steel was planned after the exit of Snyder from the universe. Christopher McQuarrie of Mission Impossible fame had pitched Man of Steel 2 to Warner Brothers. McQuarrie recently appeared in an interview, where he revealed details about the film he had planned for Cavill's second solo appearance. He shared that he modeled the film after Pixar's Up, with the first 5 minutes having no dialogue at all. It would have been an interesting film to see from McQuarrie and Cavill's collaboration, who previously came together for Fallout. McQuarrie recently appeared on the Happy Sad Confused podcast, where he revealed to host Josh Horowitz some of the details of his planned film. He shared that he planned a sequence with no dialogue in the vein of Pixar's Up. It would have covered certain events in Krypton, setting the background for Cavill's character. He called it epic, and shared that those 5 minutes would have given the viewers an idea about the massive scale of the film. The Mission Impossible. The Final Reckoning director told Horowitz. The first 5 minutes of my Superman movie. You remember Pixar's Up? A sequence with no dialogue that covered Krypton. The first 5 minutes of the movie was a setup after which you knew exactly what made Superman tick and exactly what Superman was most afraid of and why Superman made the choices that he made. And it would have epic. In 5 minutes, the scale of the movie would have been absolutely extraordinary. McQuarrie also shared that the problem with making a Superman adaptation was trying to figure out bigger and bigger obstacles for the all-powerful hero. However, he shared that Richard Donner and others who have successfully brought Superman to the screen understood that the Man of Steel's greatest obstacle was himself. He also shared in the interview that the Green Lantern story was challenging, but he cracked it and came up with a good script. However, it didn't move forward for the same reasons that Man of Steel 2 didn't. The sequel would have eventually happened if not for the restructuring of DCU into DCU under James Gunn. Cavill shared with fans on Instagram that he had a talk with Gunn and Safran, who had decided that his take on the role was no longer in their plans. Cavill shared in his post, "After being told by the studio to announce my return back in October, prior to their hire, this news isn't the easiest, but that's life. The changing of the guard is something that happens. I respect that. James and Peter have a universe to build." Gunn replaced Cavill with David Corenswet in his new DCU. From the promotional material, it is clear why Gunn had to replace Cavill with a new actor. His movie had a very colorful and bright theme as opposed to the dark portrayal by Cavill. Henry Cavill gave David Corenswet surprising advice ahead of donning the role of Superman, which perfectly reflects the character's spirit. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Taking over the Superman role isn't just about wearing the cape, it's about carrying a legacy. And David Corenswet knew that the moment he was cast, after all, he faced a storm of backlash for taking over the mantle that once belonged to Henry Cavill. But turns out, the controversy subsided after Corenswet handled the pressure with grace. Henry Cavill didn't just hand over the Superman role to David Corenswet, he also offered a surprising bit of encouragement. Corenswet, who's set to play the role of Clark Kent in James Gunn's upcoming Superman movie, initially faced a wave of backlash for replacing Cavill, who had become the face of the DC character. But while it took fans time to adjust to David Corenswet and James Gunn's vision for the character, Henry Cavill was more than happy to pass the torch. In fact, Corenswet confided in Hart during a red carpet interview the piece of advice that he received from Cavill regarding his appearance as one of the most iconic superheroes in pop culture. "I had the pleasure of exchanging letters with 2 former Supermans, Henry Cavill and Tyler Hoechlin. Both of them interestingly said in their own words, 'I'm not going to try and give you any tips, and I think that's a very Superman thing.' Yep, instead of handing down a list of tips to follow, Cavill simply asked Corenswet to have fun with the character. And if you know anything about Superman, you'll realize how the English actor's piece of advice radiates Kryptonian wisdom. And according to Corenswet, both Cavill and Hoechlin avoided giving him a how-to manual for the role. Instead of giving him a list of do's and don'ts or trying to shape his performance, the 2 actors left a message that was beautifully simple: have fun. That might sound light, especially given the weight of the role, but it captures something deeply Superman-like. Superman isn't one for giving advice or dictating how other people should be. They both conveyed a real encouragement and a sense of have fun with it, which I think is Superman's way of doing it too. They were very encouraging and I had a lovely exchange, and I'm excited to meet them, and looking forward to getting in a row with them. Trusting others to find their own path with kindness and confidence is what Superman is all about. And David Corenswet mentioned how Henry Cavill, as well as Tyler Hoechlin, left a similar piece of advice for him. They didn't try to mold Corenswet's performance, instead, they gave him the space and support to make the role his own, just like a true Superman would. But as it turns out, it wasn't without Henry Cavill's piece of wisdom that David Corenswet managed to do this. According to his interview, the Twisters star mentioned how he had the opportunity to exchange heartfelt letters with two former Superman actors, Cavill and Tyler Hoechlin, before he stepped into the spotlight. Instead, he chose kindness. And that advice for David Corenswet just shows Henry Cavill might be done playing Superman, but he is Superman at heart. In a world that constantly demands perfection and pressure, Cavill's encouragement to have fun serves as a reminder to stay grounded and present. On the surface, Henry Cavill telling David Corenswet to have fun with it may seem too casual. But if you know anything about Cavill, it says a lot. This man poured his heart into Superman through both highs and lows. And despite how his journey ended, with studio shakeups and him getting replaced, he didn't hold on to bitterness. And isn't that the kind of advice that Superman would offer? This advice shows Henry Cavill's grace in passing the torch. He's not gatekeeping the character or clinging to the past. Instead, he's embracing change with humility and support. And while fans may still miss seeing him as Clark Kent, this small but powerful gesture proves Cavill will always be a part of Superman's legacy. Let us know in the comments what you think of Henry Cavill's advice for David Corenswet. Potential James Bond actor landed an important role in HBO's House of the Dragon as Ormond Hightower, a key figure during the Targaryen Civil War. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. The hype for House of the Dragon Season 3 continues as we learn the new stars joining the franchise. As per Variety, actor James Norton will be portraying Ormond Hightower, the nephew of Otto and cousin of Alicent. He's also the Lord of Oldtown, to whom the controversial Daeron is serving as a cupbearer and squire. Despite his late introduction, Ormond has a strong participation in the Civil War. He led the Reach forces toward King's Landing in support of King Aegon, with his host consisting of 1,000 knights, archers, and men-at-arms. House of the Dragon Season 3 will introduce new characters that will play a major part in the brutal Targaryen civil war known as the Dance of the Dragons. Following the criticism of missing characters, the upcoming installment will finally unveil new faces, one of which is an actor vying for the coveted role of James Bond. James Norton has been tapped to play Ormond Hightower in the next season. He is famously known for his works on Little Women, Happy Valley, and War and Peace. He's also a frontrunner for the role of the British spy agent alongside former DCU star Henry Cavill. We can expect Norton's introduction as Ormond would happen alongside Darren's reveal. Season 2 gave a reference to the character when Otto mentioned him in the first episode, revealing to the small council that his nephew